How important is community to our spiritual growth? Well, Dagdi Agus Fáilte. Hi, hello, and welcome. Jon O'Sullivan, Irish Pagan School here. And that is where my thoughts are at the moment. And so I thought I'd pop on and have a bit of a chat and a conversation with you. I'm actually enjoying my coffee this morning. And so we're harkening back to when I first started this YouTube stuff and had to give myself some trigger or impetus to do it. So it's, in essence, a throwback to my early coffee chats. Which gives me a moment to kind of just think and check through because I have been thinking about it for quite a while, and I don't want to rush myself through the conversation of this because Nyansa, not hard to say, it's very fucking important. It's very, very important to find like-minded individuals in our world because as a species, as a human species, we would not exist if it wasn't for our ability to communicate and therefore create community. We're not the fastest animal in the world. We're not the fastest mammal in the world. We're not the strongest mammal in the world. We're not the most dangerous with like natural tools or natural kind of teeth, nails, or whatever animal in the world. There are so many things that have evolved to be so much more dangerous than humans. So why are we a dominant species? Well, it's because of our ability to work as a collective. Now, there are other animals that work in packs and work as collectives, and that's what makes them successful. But we took it to a whole different level. Early humans were predators, and they were predators known by a very particular type of, it's known as predation predators, and that they outlast their prey, which is why when we look at our archaeology, when we look at our ancient ancestors, we know they hunted things a lot bigger, a lot faster, and a lot more dangerous than an average human. Why were our ancestors able to eat mammoths and why were they able to take down kind of herds of deer if it wasn't simply for the fact that they were able to outlast them, to outthink them and outlast them. And so they would just keep coming. They'd keep, the animal would need to rest and the humans would just keep on coming. And all of that was made possible by our collective, working as a community, working as a collective, which is how we survived, which is how we evolved. Knowing where we are now, being able to look at the influences on our psychology, on our neurological pathways, on how we process stuff, we're programmed to, like, evolutionarily programmed to recognize threats, to recognize dangers, and then to seek companionship, to seek safe space in a collective, in amongst our own people, in amongst our own tribe. And now I'm gonna segue ever so slightly here. We're all fucking humans. Just because someone looks different, just because someone speaks with a different accent, just because someone speaks a different language, just because someone dresses different or worships different, they're still a fucking human. So I'm not going to allow for there to be any, you know, sideways accidental racism put in here. Oh, you have to find your own tribe, which is, white Irish people. Fuck that. Absolutely fuck that. So when we talk about tribe, we're talking about community, we're talking about like-minded individuals, we're talking about expressing cultural values, expressing principles and principle values as well. And so we have created community around our Irish pagan school with our students, and we refer to it as Tua. Tua, which is the ancient Irish word for tribe. Now, if we want to look at the history of tribes, tribe wasn't a family, because the Irish word for family was clan. A tour was made up of anywhere between 25 to 100 families. It would dominate an area anywhere between 15 and 25 kilometers. It had a very recognized power structure and societal structure, all of which is easily like accessible through teaching. We can show you the resources on it. I actually did a class on it. The Kingship in Ireland class actually has a very detailed breakdown of what Tua is, what tribe is, and the cultural context of tribe. And given our system and our cultural communal living and tribal instincts, people weren't solely raised by family. Children were children of the tribe, children of they say it takes a village to raise a child. And we're less and less seeing that in our world today, which is saddening. I remember as a kid, like, you especially at the weekends on a Saturday or Sunday, it's like get up, get out, go play in the sun, go play out in the road, go have fun with friends. The world was different. absolutely. But there was still that expression of you are in your own catchment area. You don't leave the street that you grew up on, or you don't leave the estate that you grew up in. But you went out and you played, you went out and you ran around, you went out and you met new people, and that gave you broader kind of experiences of interaction with others. And some of those people aren't your people. I was bet the fuck out of multiple times as a kid because I was a glasses wearing book reading child as opposed to a football playing scrapping child. But that didn't mean I didn't find friends. That didn't mean that I was ostracized and isolated. It just meant that there were some people that I just had to steer clear of. I got into a bicycle group with a couple of mates, a few of us, few nerds, like, we got bicycles and don't leave the estate. Yeah, we just cycled off. And that's where we were able to find our freedom and to get away from localized threats. Um, so community is crucially important to our growth as a person, to our intellectual growth as we interact with other people and learn new things, to our physical growth as we experience o- other areas and other kind of, sorry, I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied here and I'm trying not to. Um, we have to be able to grow beyond the home environment in which we're raised. That's the only way we will kind of experience and broaden our perceptions, broaden our understanding of things. We grow emotionally, intellectually, physically, all of these ways by being part of a collective, by being part of a community. Spiritual growth is the same. So the reason why I'm bringing this in is like we host online sessions, we host monthly kind of open forum, just come along and hang out and get to know other people who are students of the Irish Pagan School. And I see it time and again how many people find acceptance there, acceptance that they don't have in their locality of their spiritual expression. We get time and again people coming into our chat and they're like, yeah, they actually just say that they're from the Bible Belt in the States. They don't have to say exactly what area that is, but everyone just understands there's a section of fundamental Christianity that exists down there. And these people are isolated. They're not connected with community there, or they have to hide or withdraw aspects of themselves from expression in public forums because they're not safe to do it. Or we have people like queer presenting people who find safety and security in our community because we won't stand for any shite, homophobia, transphobia, racism, any kind of hate stuff. We will come down on that because that is our principles. And time and again, there are people who are like, this is the only place I find where I can find pagan people interested in Irish heritage or Irish ancestry or Irish spirituality, whether they have ancestry or not. Queer identifying people where they can talk about their struggles and talk about and find acceptance and acknowledgement for who and how they are in our world and know that they're going to find similar people. They're going to be seen. And that's a big, big part of it. Being seen, not blending into the background, not kind of hiding aspects of yourself. As I grew, I learned to hide many aspects of myself, present as the burly, manly man, and therefore, like, people won't step to me or won't have any challenges with me, even though I am an absolute big fucking nerd. Star Wars nerd, Star Trek nerd, Whovian nerd, gamer nerd. I'm surrounded by miniatures that I paint. But out in the world, the most you'll probably see is me wearing a t-shirt that, has a superhero logo on it. Because I learned that, I didn't have a lot of acceptance back then. Now, again, culture has changed. We're now at the stage where people are referring it as the age of the nerd because those of us who grew up as nerds are now the people who have income to spend on nerd things, and that's where we have, Marvel movies and all the rest of this, and the acceptance of our culture. Like suddenly Dungeons and Dragons turns up in Stranger Things, and oh my God, D&D is great. Critical Role, other Dimension 20, other kind of aspects out there showing and platforming these games, but those games have existed for fucking decades. So the acceptance moves and the acceptance changes, which is why we need to be very careful and cautious about what it is that we're changing and shifting and accepting. We need to be accepting of other people. We need to make space and to allow for people to just be people. But in the same way, we need to defend our Tua, our tribe, based on our principles and based on our boundaries and sovereignty against things like hate, against things like intolerance, against this rising tide of divisive language that is happening in our world today. This othering of like, well, you know, it's pretty much the return to no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, except it's no Ukrainians and no like Palestinians. It's the same rhetoric that's being presented by people in power with mixed fucking agendas in order to destabilize or to divide the collective, the community, which actually does have the power. People are elected in our world for the most part. That's done democratically. That's done by the people, by community who have a voice and who voice their opinion. We've recently had elections here, so you can see where that's on my mind as well. But all of the language shifted quite remarkably in the last short while as the elections approached to, oh no, we need harder borders and firmer action and Ireland for the Irish. The amount of fascist fucking bullshit that turned up on my electoral registry has me ashamed of my country. But in another perspective, at least I can point at the posters and say, fascist, racist, fascist, racist. You have outed yourself as a fascist and a racist, and I now know. The underlying disease of intolerance and hate sometimes needs to be drawn to the surface so we can get rid of it. The problem is the harm and damage that is done along the way. The way that we protect the most vulnerable from that is with community, is with the collective. Those who aren't the strongest in the herd, those who aren't the strongest in the pack, those who aren't the strongest in a collective are always looked after by the rest. They're put in the middle. They're brought along the way for the most part. For humanity, yeah. Our children are gathered with us and brought with us. Our elderly are gathered with us and brought with us. Our disabled people are gathered with us and brought with us. There's not enough recognition of those aspects. And yes, there are problems. I'm not going to say it's brilliant, but by being aware of it, by acknowledging it, we look after us. We look after those we are connected to, those who are community, those who are Tua, those who are tribe. It's fundamental to who we are as a species, to who we are as a people. Community comes from communication. Communication comes from dialogue, comes from discourse, and you can disagree as long as you do it respectfully and with compassion. If you allow for intolerance and hate to start coloring it, then you're not disagreeing, you're attacking. And if that's the energy you're going to bring to my Tua and tribe, you will find me standing there telling you no, you're not welcome. Because there are multiple people behind me who are vulnerable, who aren't recognized for their gender, their sexual preference, their neurospiciness, their physicality. There's multiple people behind me who have it a lot fucking harder than this cis het white man. So if you come to my community with intolerance and hate, I will tell you to fuck off. Not because I hate you. It's because I love them. I'm here to protect them and help them because we're a community, we're a collective. If you disagree with me, great. Come, sit down with me. Welcome to the table. Let's have a discourse. Let's have a conversation. Let's find out where the gaps in each other's knowledge are and let's learn. And when we know better, we just do better. It's that simple. So how important is community to spiritual growth? Fucking crucially important. I'm not saying you can't practice solar ritual. I wrote a blog about solar ritual, and I do engage in many of my rituals are solar ritual. That's how I have always done, and that's how I do, and it works for me. So I'm not talking about, you know, community rituals. I'm not talking about like, energy gathering workshops or anything like that at all. Those things can happen, do happen, and have value in their way too. I'm talking about recognition and acceptance. Recognition and acceptance. Because if we don't have that, we won't last long. I saw a piece recently about one of the largest contributing factors to mortality is loneliness. And for a period of my time, I was estranged from family. I was estranged from friends. I was separated because of an abusive relationship, and I had nobody. Yeah, of course, I had loads of people I worked with. I had loads of people that I was around when I was out doing my job. I had loads of people in neighbors and whatever who I didn't really know. I had people that I would wave to and say hey as I walked across the hill of Tara with my dog. All I had was the dog. And I'll be honest, broke me. Broke me a little bit. Loneliness. When I talk about Russell, I say that he saved me. He did. Not him, for him, I wouldn't have heard my voice outside of working hours. I talked to him. So I know what it's like to be isolated. I know what it's like to be alone. I know how hurt that is, how painful that can be, how undermining to every other aspect of your existence that can be. I'm not speaking out of a lack of experience. I'm speaking from firsthand experience of loneliness getting me as close as possible to harm and destruction. I will say there were times where harm was done on me by me. And it's difficult. So between my dog and my best friend, I was able to get back into it and then rediscovered that I did have old friends and my family never disconnected from me the way I disconnected from them. I'm very fortunate. I count my blessings fucking regularly. And now I have my own family, my partner, my children, and even grandchildren. I am fucking blessed. But all of that is because of community, because of interacting with other people. It's core to who and what we are as a species. And so honor it, protect it, set your principles loudly, vocally, and stand by them. Because you're not just creating hangout space, you're not just creating casual interactions or like a fun play group or a gaming group or whatever it is. You are making community. You are making a collective space for the continuance of our entire species. You're creating a place where someone can see themselves and feel recognized and accepted. I am honored to see it time and again. People turn up in our chats, people join like, our workshop sessions, and we invite them to say, no, throw in the chat, where are you from? That's not because we want to know where you're from. It's because we want you to know where you're from. We want you and the other members of your community to know where you're from. And even quite recently, we did a workshop and one person was like, oh, I'm from Brazil. And then two other people were like, oh my God, I'm fucking from Brazil as well. Turns out they're like a couple of hours away from each other, and now they're exchanging emails and they want to meet up in real life. I can't tell you how many times it's happened. Oh, I'm in Portland. Oh, I'm in Seattle. That's not far away. Or I'm in here and I'm there. We've had people who are in the same fucking town, literally the same town, find out that they have an Irish pagan inclined neighbor just around the corner from them by being in shared community space. They go for coffee now. This shit's important, folks. It really, really is. But then again, that's my opinion. And those are the experiences I'm able to share with you. And here's the examples I'm able to provide for you. But what I'd ask you to do is search yourself. Look around yourself. Look for the things that inspire you, that make you feel impassioned and energized, and then look for someone else who shares that thing. And then don't hold back. The reward you gain from being in community of like-minded people far outweighs the effort of getting up and going out the fucking door. It's true. And yeah, I have difficulty with it myself. I'm not I'm not preaching like I'm an idol here. Like I miss gaming on a regular basis. There's gaming groups in and around where I am. I haven't been brave enough to go. Maybe I will. Hopefully I will. Community, tribe, tua, family, whatever word you want to put on it, being part of something more than just yourself is hugely important to who you are as an individual because you can't live as an individual. What's that old saying? No man is an island. We're constantly connected to other people around us. We're constantly in need of seeing other people and recognizing other people around us, even if it is just the neighbor that you wave to on the way past, the person you stop with, like, oh, how's it going? How's like the dogs or like how whatever, the person you drop down a box of chocolates to or a bottle or something whenever a celebration comes around for the year. Being part of something outside of yourself is so hugely fulfilling and so hugely important. So, thank you for joining me for the coffee talk. You can probably tell I'm a little bit emotional about it. What I will say is be brave. Look for it, seek it, because the rewards are there. And when you find it, be definitive about what is allowed, what is not, be clear on expectations, and then stand over them. Because healthy boundaries, strong boundaries, don't harm communities. They create communities, they create safer communities, and allows people to easily see, well, this is where I want to be, and this is where I don't want to be. And if you don't want to be there, that's totally fine too. You're obviously not part of this group. I hope you find your group. If you would like to join us, once a month, we do a second Saturday session. It's a social online hangout. Get on the mailing list, click the links in the description, and you'll get an invite. You don't have to talk. You don't have to be on video. You don't have to perform. You can simply just slide on in and see other people talking about pagan interest stuff, talking about Irish culture stuff, talking and just expressing what's going on with themselves in the world. That can be enough. With people who kind of regularly turn up and they interact in the chat. I've never heard their voice, I've never seen their face, but I know them when they turn up and I'm delighted to see them every time. And invariably, they're like, yeah, I set this on my calendar. This is my commitment to my community. So, yeah, join our mailing list, get your invite. If you're looking for more, loads of free content available here from the Irish Pagan School, irishpagan.school/free, years worth of free teaching. More videos, more podcasts, resources, book recommendations, even full-on classes. But don't underestimate the power of a community. Don't underestimate the fulfillment and the enrichment of your life by being part of something outside of yourself. And until next time, look after yourself. Take care. Agus slán. Bye.